so much for joining this Day 3 Virtual Summit 2026. Before you start your presentation, I would like to introduce you to the audience. Welcome on stage Dr. Serilda L. Herbin, BSc MBA, is a decorated U.S. Army combat veteran, federal government leader, ordained elder, and founder of Coaching That Case by Serilda LLC. Crowned Miss Louisiana Corporate America 2025 and author of 11 books, including Married to My Purpose. She blends life experience with scholarship to inspire women to lead with resilience, authenticity, and wellness. A master facilitator and certified diversity executive, she empowers individuals and organizations to align purpose with performance, equipping leaders to thrive personally and professionally while leaving a legacy of impact. Wow, that's really a great introduction of Dr. Sudha. So the stage is all yours. Good luck.
Awesome. So can everybody hear me? If you can hear me, I don't know if we're able to use the chat or not, but if we can use the chat, I would like to figure out if you all can hear me and see me. And if you can, I want you to place a 1 in the chat. So let's give this a try. Let's see if you all can hear me. And if you can, put the number 1 in the chat. I see some highs out there. I see some hi, Dr. Terrell does. If you can hear me, I want you to put the number 1 in the chat so I can see who's here and who is up and moving. Okay. So I am, as she said, Dr. Sorrel Herbin, as they're getting my slides ready. If they can't pull them up, I'll go with it from my end here. I don't see the slides yet, but I'll just go ahead and keep going. But thank you all so much for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to learning something today from you all and for me to learn some things as well, and you all learn from me. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about commanding your calling and realizing that Married to My Purpose has 4 pillars, and it's a blueprint that I have been using over the last couple of years. Now, as my bio reflected, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. As my bio reflected, I am a retired military officer. I retired from the military back in 2016. I am born and raised from the state of Louisiana, and I'm the reigning Miss Corporate America 2025. So again, thank you all so much for the opportunity for me to be able to do just one more empowerment session to be able to uplift people all around the world. And I draw a lot from my experiences of being in the military, an experience of being a mother, an experience of recently divorced. After 23 years of marriage, I divorced about 3 years ago. God gave me 2 options: to stay and die, or leave and live. So if we have options to stay somewhere and die, or leave and start fresh and live again, we want to do that. And it's the same concept when we're talking about being married to our purpose. Now, before we get into the presentation, I do see a few people in the chat that may have responded, but if you did not, if you can hear me, I want you to put something in the chat. Talk to me about what you see, what you hear, something, so that I can know that you're there. I think there's about 3 people that responded so far, but if not, that's okay. I will absolutely keep going. Okay. So this presentation is really designed to empower people, specifically women, entrepreneurs, leaders, and professionals, in understanding that there is absolutely an intersection between purpose, between wellness and health, self-care, and leadership. And so being able to go through my experiences in life as a senior federal government employee, you all can go to the next slide, but as a senior federal government employee, I understand the firsthand effects of realizing what purpose means in your life. Doing something in your life that's bigger than yourself is so very important. And we'll delve into some of the 4 pillars of being married to your purpose first. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the divorce. 2023, I was given the release to actually file for divorce and separate from my husband at the time. What happened, I ended up contracting several severe panic attacks. Now, this is going to set the tone for what I'm talking about for the remainder of the next couple of minutes with you all. I was given an ultimatum at the hospital. The doctor told me I had really one option, and it was very similar to what I'd heard spiritually: stay and die or leave and live. The doctor told me, whatever it is in your environment that's causing your body to react this way, you have to stop. He said that this panic attack took on the form of a stroke. And if I did not change some things in my life, I would not make it. So I had to make some severe changes in my life to make my life better again. Understanding that stress can kill you, anxiety can kill you, worrying can kill you. And God told me I had to get back to being married to myself first. I had to focus on myself first, because this is what happened. I made my marriage my purpose. I made my husband my God, and I forgot about myself. I forgot all about myself. And so, understanding where I was and knowing that's not where I needed to be, it became a space of necessity to move forward. I want someone to either type that in the chat, or I want you to say it back to me once we have questions. It is a necessity to move forward. It is important to move forward, but it's also important to move forward in the right way. And we'll talk about that here shortly. Let's look at the four pillars of being married to your purpose. Now let's look at number 1, innovation as an entrepreneurial mandate. We also have wellness as a leadership strategy. We have authenticity in management, and we also have resilience in adversity. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. And so when you're looking at pillars, these are foundational things that we use. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. These are 4 foundational pieces of being married to your purpose that are absolutely necessary. Now, let's look at this first one. Pillar number 1, innovation as an entrepreneurial mandate. This is where you're cultivating a mindset of innovation and embracing change. When you cultivate a mindset of innovation and you embrace change, you realize that you're going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. We cannot move to our next level. We cannot operate in our purpose unless we move. It is absolutely necessary that we move. Listen, I actually am talking about moving into a space that I have never been in my life. My entire federal government career, my entire working career has been in the federal government, whether being in uniform or out of uniform, where I got to wear pretty clothes like this, pretty jewelry, pretty makeup, pretty hairstyles versus a cap and a uniform. I still shifted, although I was in the same culture. And Naima, I think, is asking me a question. Oh, by the way, if you all want to ask questions while I'm presenting in the chat, please feel free to do that. I'll pull your questions in as I am facilitating, okay? Someone asked me, how can leaders align purpose with performance? Absolutely necessary. So here are 2 tracks that I'll talk to you about. Naima, I think that's how you pronounce your name. And if I've messed it up, please, please, please forgive me. But Naima, let me talk about that a little bit. How can leaders align purpose with performance? It's really easy if you think about it. Because if you understand the mission of where you're going with an ideal, with a task, you can understand how if you know the what. Purpose is the what. Performance is the how. In between the what and the how is skills. Maybe sometimes we have to upskill. We may have to reskill. We may have to retrain, right? I was in the military. I work for the federal government, but I absolutely know that I'm called to be an entrepreneur. I know that I'm called to be an entrepreneur. I've always had the mindset of an entrepreneur. My bachelor's degree, my bachelor's degree is in computer information systems. My master's degree is in business administration. But my doctorate degree is in strategic leadership and leadership coaching. So if you think about the 3 degrees, they are all different, but they've worked together for me. So because I knew my how, my what, I can now do the how. My daughter asked me one day, I was sitting at the computer when I was working from home, and her friend was with her. She was like, "What does your mom do?" She said, "I don't know. She just checks emails. That's her job." And she asked me one day, "Mom, you get paid to check emails?" I said, "No. As a matter of fact, I am able to now check emails, respond to emails, conduct meetings, lead meetings, create programs, create projects, execute events, write policy because I have the institutional knowledge and history to be able to answer emails." You see how that worked? Many times we want to show up to an empty house and be comfortable. The empty house in this case represents what you're asking me, Naeem. How can leaders align purpose with performance? We have to know what to do. Sometimes we think we can jump from point A to point C. There is knowledge, there are skills, there are abilities, there's the triple bottom line, making money, saving money, and achieving organizational goals. All of those things make a difference. And it's not just organizational, it is personal as well. If I cannot manage myself, how will I manage anyone else or anything else? Alvin asks the question, how did your Army combat experience shape your leadership style? That's another simple question for me because I have to back up to my upbringing. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever traveled to Louisiana or you've ever traveled to the South or you've ever been in the United States. It may be a combination of people on the line. I would love to know who's in the room if you want to throw it in the chat. But that helps me a little bit culturally to figure out who's in the room and what experiences we have. But to answer your question, Alvin, how did Army combat experience shape my leadership style? There are 2 things that happened to me while serving in the military. I was telling you that my degree coming from college was in computer information systems. I wanted to be a personnel HR specialist in the military. I had no intentions of going into combat or anything like that. I was still doing pageants in the Miss America system when I graduated from college. So I had no intentions, okay? And one day, when I showed up to my first duty assignment, we were told that we were going to be deploying. We were going to be in combat. I deployed twice within a 6-month time frame to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. Okay, Aliyah Salim, Kuwait, and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In those places, I learned some things. I learned resilience. I learned mindset, and I learned strength and agility. I had to have the ability to think on my feet. I had to have the ability to understand that I am serving my country. And there is really a possibility that I might die because I'm at war. How did my Army combat shape my leadership style? I'm going back to your question. Here's another way to answer it. When I am at war, when I went to combat, had a weapon that had bullets, rounds, ammunition in it, which meant I was walking every day in my life at that time in combat, knowing that I had to use a live weapon to defend myself and the people that I was serving with. It was literally a life or death situation. When I translate that to my current leadership style, because I'm not in uniform, I'm not walking around with a live weapon, but let's translate this. What type of live weapons are we using today? What type of live weapons are we doing to explore opportunities? Are we using the live weapon of our mind, realizing that if we do not fully employ all of the talents, all of the skills, and all of the abilities that we have, we are going to operate below the level that we were created? Alicia asks, thank you for the questions, Alvin and Naima. Alicia asks, what moment made you realize you were married to your purpose? That's a great question. What I will tell you is that there is always an evolution of purpose. Your purpose is going to be those things that are inherently what you're good at, right? But when I went through a divorce, I did not want to get a divorce. After 23 years of marriage, I had no intentions. Life would have it to way everything fell. My then husband at the time, and I'm not remarried, I've been separated for 3 years and married, divorced for 2 years as of this year. And what I realized was, Alicia, I had to be married to myself first. So I will answer your question in reverse. What moment made me realize that I was married to my purpose is when I realized that I was not married to my purpose. When I filed the paperwork for separation, something inside of my body, my nervous system was all over the place. I had not envisioned doing that. I had plans 10 years out from 2023, which is when I filed. We were planning all the way out to 2033. So to go through a divorce at that time, I could not process it. But this is what I realized. I had shifted away from my own identity. I had deferred so much that I could not recognize myself. I delayed what I wanted to do all of the time, and I preferred everybody else's opinions outside of my own. I was constantly being told by family and friends, stop apologizing for your opinion. That's for somebody on this call. Stop apologizing for your opinion. Your opinion matters. Your life matters. You matter. Now, I could say your job matters, your family matters. They all matter, but you matter first. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. But when we talk about being married to your purpose and understanding it, it's so important. Let me tell you why. And I want somebody, because I see my activity in the chat is becoming a little bit more. So I'm excited about that. I want somebody to type this in the chat for me. Where is your other half? Where is your other half? That doesn't mean a spouse, a husband, a wife. It means, where are the parts of you that you allowed someone to get rid of by stepping on your opinions, by dismissing your importance, by ignoring your thoughts? Where is all of that part of you that you keep giving away? You are not designed to walk this earth being a half person. Not physiologically, not mentally, not spiritually, not financially, in any stretch of the imagination. Pillar number 2, wellness as a leadership strategy. And we've been talking a little bit about this. You have to be a full person, mind, body, soul, and spirit. But there is also something else that you need to do on a regular basis to keep that mindset. You've got to protect yourself by protecting your peace, protecting your purpose, understanding that purpose is your forever partner, no matter if you're married or single, engaged, in between, dating, courting, whatever status you're in. Purpose is one partner that will never leave. That's how you understand that being married to your purpose has started to rest inside of you and manifest itself out. Manifest itself out in your activities, in your decisions, in your job, in your marriages, in your families, and even in the purpose work that you have been called to do. So when you think about all of the things that you could be doing in the world, there should only be one thing that you would want to do, and that is live and operate in your purpose, not your mom's purpose, not your dad's purpose, not your siblings, not any superstar, not any celebrity, just you. Because everything that you need is inside of you. Emma, thank you for the question. What's one leadership lesson from the military that applies to corporate life? I will tell you. If you look up this quote by Arthur Ashe, use what you got, do what you can, and start where you are. The military teaches us, and they call it here the leadership mecca of the world. We learn discipline, we learn timeliness, we learn self sacrifice, we learn ultimate sacrifice. The military lessons are lots of soft skills that are wrapped around this huge dichotomy of performing to protect. Thus, we are called the profession of arms. We are armed to succeed. We are armed to protect. We are armed to produce. We are armed to shield. How many of us are protecting, arming, and shielding things in our own lives? On the inverse, how many of us are not? These are spaces that we must align if we want to operate at our maximum potential. If you cannot show up in a corporate space and be yourself, guess what? You're probably in the wrong space. Now, let me qualify this. If you're in a space and you have to have a job, you have to get money to take care of your family, I absolutely understand that. But if you have the opportunity to shift or to pivot into a space that's more aligned with who you are and what you believe in, do it. Because you won't be fulfilled. And as my pastor would say, you're uptight, not right, ready to fight, and hard to get along with. And we don't want any of that. Okay. So we have to make sure that we make this concerted effort to show up for ourselves and show up as ourselves. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So when we're talking about wellness as a leadership strategy, and Emma, as we're talking about those leadership lessons from the military that applies to corporate life, self-sacrifice, sacrifice, loyalty, responsibility, timeliness, all of those attributes and behaviors that are going to allow us to be better. And that leads me to pillar number 3, which is resilience in adversity. Pillar number 3 is resilience in adversity. When you can transform a setback into an opportunity. I took a setback of divorce and I transferred it into an opportunity. I had no intentions of creating a platform married to my purpose. Those things in one sentence or phrase didn't make sense to me. It didn't process with me. Married to my purpose, okay. Why don't you just say walk in whatever talents you have? Well, that's not what God gave me. I would not have heard it had I not gone through this experience, had I not gone through the adversity. Okay, learning how to navigate those challenges with strength and learning how to navigate them with determination is absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary. You know, when I had my children, I only have 2. My son is 22 and my daughter is about to turn 18 next week, actually. You all really pray for me because 18-year-old girls, they kind of act like they're the boss and that they don't act 18, they act 35, okay? But I have 2 children. I am now obviously divorced, which equates to being single. I am not with a partner. I don't desire to be with a partner because I have to learn myself all over again. The resilience that I'm building in the adversity that I endured, and let's be clear, my adversity was not just the divorce. It did not just start 3 years ago. I grew up in a home. My mom was a drug addict. My dad introduced her to drugs. I was raised by my grandmother. I stayed with several different families between the time I graduated 11th and 12th grade. So I understand the devastating effects of being an at-risk youth. If I fast forwarded to my doctorate degree, and my doctorate degree work, strategic leadership and leadership coaching, my coursework was to create a manuscript, a seminar, or a training module. So I chose a training module. My department head said, if you had anything that you wanted to talk about, what would it be? And what would cause you to tear up if you wanted to talk about it? And I said, my childhood. She said, that's what your coursework needs to be about. And that's what your research needs to be about. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to remain connected to it. That's for somebody. If you're not passionate about it, you're not going to remain connected to it. So as I am going through this coursework, I started to do research on at-risk youth. Guess what I realized? Between 11th and 12th grade, when my grandmother passed away, who raised me, I stayed with several different families. I had no idea that I was an at-risk youth. No idea. My community practically raised me. I grew up in the church. My grandmother made sure we were there every Sunday, sometimes Wednesdays, sometimes Mondays. That was my social life. So my ability to connect with people from all over the world, no matter the race, religion, any of those things, it didn't matter to me. Connection for me was much, much deeper than the skin, than the gender, than the hair color, than the skin color. It didn't matter to me, and it still doesn't matter to me today. Connection is universal. We understand. I could go into a briefing or a study or a facilitation that talks about the different types of divisions in the world based off of race. You had apartheid, you had the caste system, you have racism in different countries all around the world. But the one thing that remains that cannot be refuted is connection. We can see someone being misused or misharmed or mistreated in another country on TV. We may not even know the language, but the universal language of compassion and treating people with dignity and respect, that's not specific to any culture. That's universal. So when you think about wellness, when you think about the golden rule, treat others as you would want them to treat you, that is so important. So when we talk about these things, I am so grateful for those who were able to ask questions. And you can keep the questions coming. I think we'll have a question and answer period as we get through these pieces. And I've already gone through the first three. Pillar one, innovation as an entrepreneurial mandate. Pillar two, wellness as a leadership strategy. Pillar three, authenticity in management. We have to make sure we're leading with integrity. Integrity comes from the inside out. You cannot create false integrity. You cannot say that you're authentic, but you mistreat people. You cannot manage anyone if you cannot manage yourself. Authenticity builds trust. Who doesn't want to be trusted? And why would we want the people that may be supervising us, not just at work, but at home? We want to be trusted. We want to be trustworthy. I know I don't like people around me that are dishonest. Everybody else on here may have a different thing, but my thing is dishonesty. I don't like it because if you're dishonest in one area, you're probably dishonest in all. So, authenticity in management, which is pillar number three, is so very important. Embracing your unique strengths so that you can understand how to lead in authenticity. It's so very important, so important. So, as we go into pillar number four, our final pillar, Resilience in adversity. This wraps up the entire presentation. It wraps up my entire story that I'm saying today, but it's not the end, it's just the beginning. Resilience in adversity, transforming setbacks into opportunities and learning to navigate challenges with strength and determination. If we are not able to do that, we will be stuck. We'll be paralyzed in progress. We will have ideals in our mind. We will have creative thoughts in our mind, and they're stuck there. We don't want to get stuck. We don't want to get stuck. If we're leading large scale organizations in the corporate space, we don't want to get stuck. I was reading an article the other day, and one of the things in this article said we are in a $1 trillion deficit across all organizations when it comes to emotional intelligence. What does that mean? In simplest terms, that means I can talk to Emma, I can talk to Alicia, I can talk to Alvin, I can talk to Naima, and guess what? I do not have the ability to sense, to empathize, or to be compassionate in a way where I can help the next person, let alone help myself. These statistics are saying we lack emotional intelligence, and it's causing an organizational dehydration of EI and EQ, if you really want to say it specific. The term is EQ. I have a really good friend, actually a few of them. One of them has written a book on emotional intelligence. The other two have created programs for children, K through 12, that talks about emotional intelligence and being able to honor how you feel. In many organizations, in many homes, you didn't get the option. When I grew up, I didn't get the option. I felt what my grandmother felt. That was the way we were disciplined. You don't get an opinion. The answer is yes. The answer is no. There is no why. I don't know if any of the other of you on this call have children that want to ask why. Mine did. I didn't get to do that. I asked why. Guess what? Poop. I got popped in the mouth. Or poop, twisted ear, something to say, no, no, no. That's not acceptable. Emotional intelligence is so very important. When you are bouncing back from situations, it's necessary to understand who you are. If you cannot understand who you are, how can someone else? How can someone else? So when we're looking at the pillars and the blueprint for being married to your purpose, this is absolutely necessary. You can't afford not to exercise the 4 pillars. You can't afford not to focus on innovation as an entrepreneurial mandate. Some of you may say, well, I don't want to run a business. But guess what? You're running yourself. Think of yourself as a business. Yeah. Think of yourself as this operation that should be moving and executing at optimal level, but you can't do that because you don't have all the pieces in place. That's 1 pillar. Second pillar, wellness as a leadership strategy. You have to understand that self-care is the best care. Whether you're in a business, whether you're in a marriage, whether you're single, whether you're a mom, whether you're not, whether you're a father, whether you're not. We have to understand these things. Pillar number 3, authenticity in management, whether you're managing yourself or any other entity around you. You have to be authentic. You should be authentic because many people are not being authentic. That's a whole nother speaking engagement. Okay, I'm just putting a hint out there. There's other coursework, there's other studies that we can talk about that leads us to understanding authenticity in management, authenticity in self. And finally, pillar number 4, resilience in adversity. Understanding that the things that we go through in life are not just for us to endure pain. We may have gone through something to help somebody else. And so when we think about some of the things that we're going to take away from today. I can't wait to hear other questions or anything that you may want to ask me. I am absolutely an open book. I will answer anything, whether it's about the marriage, whether it's about my military career, my post-military career, my family, whatever it is. Feel free, fire away. There is nothing that's offensive to me, so fire away. Okay. So here's some takeaways from what we've talked about today. Transform your setbacks into leadership strategies if you are in organizations, even if you're in your family, even if you're managing yourself. Transform those setbacks. Integrate wellness into your daily life. Take naps. My brother told me today, you need to take a break, Sorelda. Just relax, just sit still, do nothing for a little while, do your keynote speaking engagement, and then take a nap. Just lay down, just do nothing. Put your phone down, turn it off, turn the lights off, put your mask on. Take the crown off, right? Leverage authenticity to build strong relationships or teams. I would love to keep in contact with many of you that are on this call. We may have synergies and collaborative insights that could change the world if we do it together. Would love to do that. Because this is almost a one-way space. I can't see anybody's face. Even though I can't, I know that you're there. How fulfilling would that be? I can't see someone's face every day, but I know that I can depend on them to be there for me, and vice versa. So, as we are landing this plane, I want you to remember one thing. Make sure you are building supportive ecosystems in your life, whether it's in a business, if you are a business owner, whether it's in your family and you are a family member that's part of that nucleus. Play your part, play your role. Walk in authenticity and in self care, fostering growth, fostering collaboration, fostering connection. And that's what it's all about. So, as we continue to go through this amazing conference that talks about empowerment and leadership and fostering it, teamwork and collaboration, I encourage you to do something for yourself on today. Okay. I'll end you with this. In 2020, I contracted COVID. It's obviously 2026, 6 years later. I can't smell or taste. People will always ask me, "Oh my gosh, I love to eat. How do you do that? I don't know how you could survive." It would drive me nuts. You know what I respond with? I'm alive. I understand mentally what these things used to taste like. I understand mentally what these things used to smell like, anything around me. So I take the beauty of what I do have and I celebrate those things. So I invite you, take the beauty and live to be appreciative of what you still have. You have the ability to start where you are, do what you can, and use what you've got. Thank you so much, everybody, for this opportunity. Again, I am Dr. Sorelda Herbin, the founder of Coaching That Cares and the Married to My Purpose platform. I look forward to connecting with you all and staying connected. On the following slide, one of those slides near the end, my contact information is there. Stay connected with me, email me, text me, or go to my website so that we can keep in touch. Thank you all very much, and I will pause and open for questions. Back to you all.
Thank you so much, Sarilza, for the great presentation and explaining about the four pillars. So it was like we have involved with your in your presentation today, and so we do have a lot of questions, but
Okay.
we have very limited time. So
Yes.
I'll go for one question. Okay.
Okay.
So, what moment made you realize you were married to your purpose? I think this was a great question. Yes.
Absolutely. The moment I realized that I was married to my purpose is when the panic attacks stopped. Is when I stopped focusing on the things that I did not have and I started to appreciate the things that I did have, i.e., my children. my relationships with family members and friends. I realized that I was married to my purpose when I was not afraid to use the things that were inside of me to make an impact in the world. I realized that I was married to my purpose because, regardless of what I don't have in my health, what I may not have in a job, my spirit is still vibrant. My soul is still healthy, and my ability to serve people never went away. So yeah, there's so many reasons I could go on and on with this, Melinda, but uh, for today and for the sake of time, there's so many things that we can look inward and realize that we are married to our purpose, and we can make those course corrections to fix them.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing the answer with. Yeah, I think Alicia got the answer. Yeah, so a lot of hearts for this answer. So thank you so much for sharing your great presentation on day three Global Virtual Summit 2026. So please do encourage our next speaker sessions as well, and please do join our tomorrow session as well. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.